What's going on, you guys? My name's Brobson, and today I'm going to be teaching you everything there is to know about the world boss Kzarka in Black Desert Online. This guide is going to be pretty comprehensive and cover all relevant information about the boss, so please feel free to use the table of contents in the description of this video to skip to a specific part if there's only certain information you're looking for. Kzarka is known as the Lord of Corruption, and he's a world boss that drops the current best-in-slot main hand weapon for all classes as of the time of upload of this video. In addition to dropping the best in slot gear, he also has the ability to drop other great loot, such as Laverto weapons, 10G gold bars, rare gems that can be socketed into gear, plenty of silver, and more, making him a great boss to kill and farm if you're looking to make some quick and easy profit in Black Desert. Before we get into information on Kzarka specifically, let's go over some general guidelines that you'll want to follow for all of the world bosses in Black Desert. Firstly, your entire server will be killing the world bosses with you, and the high concentration of players in a small area can cause your frame rate to drop dramatically, which will often lead to your death. To help combat this, you'll want to reduce the amount of stuff going on your screen. Firstly, you can turn off other players' skill animations in your screen settings, and remove both their names and pets in your game settings. This will drastically improve your frame rate while killing world bosses, and actually allow you to see the boss's attacks instead of just seeing hundreds of other players' attack animations. Next, you can get an increased chance at loot by connecting and leveling up the node associated with the boss you're trying to kill. For Kzarka specifically, this node is Serendia Shrine, and you can get there by starting at Glish and then connecting the nodes called Southern Cianaga, Southern Guard Camp, and finally Serendia Shrine. From here, you can invest your character's energy into the Serendia Shrine node to level it up. The higher the level of the node, the better your chance at rare loot from all mobs in that node location, including world bosses. It is currently unknown how much leveling up a node is intended to help increase rare loot, and at the time of upload of this video it actually appears as though the mechanic is bugged and not affecting loot chance at all. But hopefully by the time you're watching this will have been patched, so investing your energy into Serendia Shrine will be well worth it and actually affect your chance of getting rare loot from Kzarka. Finally, you can learn knowledge about a boss before even attempting to kill it, which will both increase your chances at rare loot and allow you to see exactly how much health the boss has left as you kill it. You can gain knowledge on Kzarka specifically by speaking with the NPC located just across from the node manager at the Serendia Shrine node location. You'll need to select the conversation option and play the Amity game until you reach 50 Amity with this NPC, then leave the conversation and talk with him again to get a chat option which will give you knowledge on Kzarka. You'll want to make sure that you get your knowledge level to either A+ or S rank before attempting to kill the boss, as this will give you the best chance of receiving rare loot. Now, let's get into the boss and the fight itself. Kzarka spawns roughly every 8 to 12 hours, and you'll get a notification on your screen when he spawns on your server. World bosses do not spawn on the Olvia channels, however, so if you're a new player, you'll need to hop to a different channel once the bosses spawn. There is a dedicated Discord server that is extremely useful for farming world bosses, and it will give you information on every single boss, including when their spawn windows are set to open, which bosses are currently in window and able to be spawned at any moment, which bosses are currently up, and even how much health is left on bosses that are currently alive on each and every server. The link to both the North American and European server discords are linked in the description of this video, and I'd highly recommend you join them if you plan to farm world bosses, as it makes preparing for the bosses infinitely easier, and also allows you to get to the bosses' locations well before they spawn, which will allow you to be there for the entirety of the fight. I'd recommend being at least level 54 to attempt to kill Kzarka, but you'll get loot much more consistently if you are awakened and at level 56 or higher. There's a chance that you'll get absolutely no loot when killing Kzarka, but it seems as though the loot is distributed primarily based on comparative damage, so if your damage output is within the top 30 to 40 people at the boss, you'll get loot pretty much every kill. Note that it is possible to get loot by hitting the boss once and then hiding and waiting for it to die, so you can still attempt to kill the bosses or leash kills and hope to get lucky with loot if you're a lower level or under geared, but the chance of receiving loot is much higher if you deal a lot of damage, so I would not recommend trying to go world boss farming if you are under geared or unawakened. Kzarka itself is located inside of the Serendia Shrine, which is located due south of Heidel and just southeast of Glish. Once you get to the shrine, you'll want to run through it, following the leftmost path through all of the doorways and into the final room of the shrine, which is where you'll find Kzarka. The fight itself is very straightforward, as Kzarka does not have too many mechanics you need to be worried about. The majority of the fight will just be his auto attacks, where he swipes his arms around in front of him, dealing moderate damage to anyone that's in front of where he's facing. The best strategy for his auto attacks is just to stay behind Kzarka at all times, so that you're outside of the AoE damage range of his auto attacks. Strafe left and right, and use your class's mobility skills to make sure that you face Kzarka's back at all times. Dealing back damage is more effective than dealing frontal damage anyway, and you'll be safe from his attacks. He does spin around the room throughout the fight, but within a few minutes of fighting him, you'll easily be able to predict his movement patterns and just use, again, your class's mobility skills to make sure you stay behind him and attacking his back at all times. If you do get caught off guard and get hit, his auto attacks should not be enough to kill you unless you have a very low DP value on your armor, so you should be able to just drink a potion and then quickly surge behind him and continue dealing back damage. In addition to these auto attacks, however, there are two special mechanics he'll do throughout the fight, and these you'll need to avoid at all costs. Both of his special attacks are triggered with a black smoke animation where smoke will rise around him on all four sides, and he will also become untargetable as this happens. Whenever you see the smoke or notice that you're no longer targeting Kzarka, this is your cue to move away from him as quickly as possible and head immediately for cover behind one of the pillars in the four corners of the room. The first mechanic is a fire breath mechanic, where Kzarka breathes fire in a frontal AoE cone directly on the ground in front of him. There will be a giant red cone on the ground to signify where the damage from this attack is dealt, so just make sure your character is outside of the red area on the ground and you'll be safe. Additionally, for extra safety, you can just make sure your character is behind one of the four pillars in the corners of the room and you will take no damage whatsoever. If you get caught in the fire breath, you'll pretty much die no matter how well geared you are, so it might be a good idea to hit V and safely move away if you notice that the red cone is underneath your character and you don't think you'll have time to move away immediately. Once you're outside of the fire breath zone, you're safe to start dealing damage to Kzarka again, as the mechanic will be over soon, and as long as you're outside the red, you will not take damage. The second special mechanic happens in 3 phases. The first phase is a bunch of small red circles that appear on the ground around the room. Simply stay outside of the red circles during this part and you'll be safe. Next, a giant red circle of AoE damage will appear covering almost the entire room, and there are 2 ways to avoid this AoE circle. Firstly, you can go all the way to the outside edge of the room to get outside of the red circle, at which point you'll be safe from damage. But also, you can simply hide behind one of the 4 pillars in the corners of the room, and provided your character is directly behind one of the 4 pillars, you will not get hit by this AoE damage, even though you are inside of the circle. After the huge AoE attack, there will be another final wave of small circles that appear on the ground again, and you simply need to avoid them until they disappear, at which point you can go back to damaging Kzarka, as this special mechanic is now officially over after the second wave of small circles disappears. Many players make the mistake of rushing back in to hit Kzarka too quickly during the second phase of red circles, so remember to wait until you see all of the circles disappear completely before you run back in towards the boss again, or you may get hit right before they disappear and end up dying. Better safe than sorry. These 2 special mechanics will be repeated at random times throughout the fight, so make sure you continually deal back damage to Kzarka while avoiding his auto attacks, and keep your eye open for the black smoke that signifies one of the special attacks. When you see the smoke, head to the outside edge of the room or get behind a pillar and avoid red at all costs. Rinse and repeat this throughout the fight and you should have no problem defeating Kzarka with the rest of your server. If you do happen to die during the fight, just choose to respawn at the nearest node and you'll be respawned right outside the shrine, so you can simply run back in and immediately continue fighting. Once Kzarka dies, your pets will auto-loot the corpse if you got any loot, but if you don't have pets with you, you'll need to run up to Kzarka's dead corpse and press R to see if you got any loot. The loot that everyone wants is called Sealed Kzarka Weapon Box, which can be opened to receive a best-in-slot main hand weapon. The cool part about these boxes though is that it won't give you the weapon until you open the box, so if you get it on one class but want it to be a weapon for a different class, you can simply put the sealed box into storage and then take it out on the class you'd like, and when you open the box you'll get the weapon for whatever class actually opens the box, not the class that received the drop. It is rumored that the weapon box is approximately a 1% drop chance for all players who receive loot. But keeping in mind that not every player will get loot each kill, this means that less than 1 out of every 100 players will get a weapon box per kill on average. This is an extremely rare drop, and you should not expect to get one when you kill this boss. In addition to the weapon box, there's also a drop you can get called Kzarka's Latent Aura. If you manage to collect 100 of these auras over many total kills, you can turn in 100 Latent Auras to the node manager for Serendia Shrine, and he'll give you a Kzarka's weapon box in return for the 100 auras. This is a cool mechanic that allows players to get boss gear even without getting lucky by just being persistent and killing the boss a lot over time. And that's pretty much it for my guide on Kzarka. I'm pretty sure I covered everything there is to know about this boss, and hopefully after watching, you guys are ready to head on down to Serendia Shrine and take on Kzarka for yourself. If I left anything out, or if you can think of any other helpful information that can be used when killing Kzarka, please let me know in the comment section and I'll be sure to add any relevant information to the description of the video and give you credit. Also, please remember to leave feedback on this video via a like or dislike, and also comment letting me know what you thought. This is my first Black Desert World Boss guide, and I plan to make one for every single world boss in the game, so your feedback will help me create more informative videos in the future. Also, make sure to subscribe to this channel for future Black Desert content and guides, and also check the links in the description to get to my Twitter and live stream channel on Twitch, where I'll be posting daily Black Desert content. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.